This Victoria's Voice Foundation 200 Betting Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up today using promo code SGPN and race SGPN. Then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog to enter our bonus contest. 5 winners will receive shirts, hat, and a $50 SGPN gift card. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome into another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and today we talk trucks. This week feels so much more normal than regular because everything is sort of exactly where it needs to be. The Cup Series is Tuesday. Trucks are on Wednesday. We'll do Xfinity tomorrow on Thursday. Cody, it's so nice to be back in the normal swing of things.
It really does feel good. It's this is the normal schedule we should be on most of the season, so I like it. We still got all 3 series rolling as they head out to Vegas. As we talked about yesterday on the Cup Series picks show, kind of a normal quote unquote week. As much normal as the trucks can be, anyways. But this should be pretty fun race. Lot of names to be talking about in this race. We got quite a few guys jumping down from the Cup Series. So, we'll jump into all that. But I'm excited. Again, we're full on into it now, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It really is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And what's a beautiful, beautiful thing is not even being able to be here 5 seconds and seeing people already popping off in the chat. Derek Undead Gaming saying ready and waiting for this here to pop off. You were here early, and we appreciate that. Chris Tamber saying he's here for the SGV love. Give him some props, Cody. I don't know that that's
maybe tomorrow on the Xfinity show. Check it out.
Keith Lutz saying let's go, and then Stephen Williams reminding us that yes, I have yet to finish or to get our things done today. So kind of like a haunted house. It's fun until it isn't. Ty Tiger checking in my favorites, and then JDK saying the busiest guys. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the S on there in the NASCAR gambling industry. So Steve's also excited that the paint schemes are out because we know that is how Steve's entire betting card gets filled. So congratulations, Steve. Happy paint scheme day.
Yeah, let us know which paint schemes your daughter's on this week, because it's always fun and entertaining to find that out.
You could always find that in the Discord because we love having that conversation over there. Such a fun way to just I guess get involved. That's one thing it is. It's like at first she'll learn paint schemes, then she'll learn drivers, then she'll develop her own driver, and then next thing you know, she's the biggest NASCAR fan that you'll ever meet. So gotta love that.
Exactly.
So, okay. Again, like we said, it is the Truck Series news, Cody, or Truck Series that we're covering today. It's the Victoria's Voice Foundation 200 from Las Vegas, back on the friendly confines of a cookie cutter oval. But as we know, Cody, it doesn't matter if they're on an oval, a road course, a super speedway, your local Boomers, or Scandinavia, whatever you got out there, Scandia. These truck drivers still act and slip and slide as if they are just on a wild ride, Toad's Wild Ride, as it were.
Yeah, they do that. They're always, this is, probably the most exciting of the series, right? They're going to keep you on your toes. There's going to be a lot of things going on throughout the race. So, they're getting, well, I guess maybe not so much last week in Atlanta, but I think getting back to a normal oval here, normal intermediate oval, will be a good thing. And again, like I said, a lot of new names and faces in different places throughout this race. So I think that's going to bring a lot of excitement for this one.
One face that is actually going to stay the same for a while. I know that we don't normally jump into the news this quickly, and I know we're going to talk about him later on in the show. But one of the biggest pieces of news, I suppose, is that Raja Carruth was going to be only, a 13 race participant in the Truck Series?
So he was going to be full season, but HendrickCars.com was supposed to only be 13 races.
There it is.
But they have decided they're going to do the full 23 race schedule for him, which is huge news for Raja, obviously. Huge news for Spire. Maybe it's huge news for Hendrick too. I mean, if Mr. H, if Jeff Gordon, if these guys believe in a young driver like this, they've believed in some young drivers before. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jeff Gordon or Kyle Busch or Jimmy Johnson. I don't ever know what happened to any of those guys, but they believed in all of those guys. They clearly believe in Raja Carruth here. I mean, to make that investment of how many trucks have the same sponsor for all 23 races? Not very many, I don't think. So for them to go out there and make that investment in this guy, he's obviously someone that they've got their eyes on and feel like he could really be a great future driver. And again, look at William Byron as the most recent example. They're not too bad at finding those guys. So definitely going to be a guy to keep an eye on. We're going to talk about him a little bit tonight. I think that news like this could impact how his weekend goes and could help us cash some of these bets, because you get that kind of boost of confidence, and that could be a good thing. So, great news for a young driver that's up and coming and definitely has got a lot of talent.
Confidence, schmofidence. That type of money infusion is going to do huge for the garage. I mean, that's, Hendrick Motorsports doesn't just put a couple of pennies. They're not stacking pennies. They pretty much stack silver dollars, or I don't know, whatever's more than that. Find me a coin that's more than a silver dollar. Gold dollar? I don't know. They stack big fat stacks of gold. So interesting to see what that will do for that garage and for that driver. And of course, like we said, we'll talk about him in a second and what we think that's exactly going to do for him. So is there any other news before we?
No, that was about the biggest piece of news that we had. We've got the entry list. I don't know if you want to do that now, go over that quick just to see who all's in these trucks.
Well, we can do that, but let's do that and do it right after we talk to you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy, listen, it is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Plus, it's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. As you know, a dedicated episode at the end of the week will be for DFS and Underdog picks. So stay tuned for that episode as we break down all of our favorite Underdog picks. And a little birdie told me that we did not miss a single one in Atlanta last week. So hopefully we keep that train rolling and keep you guys in Underdog money for the rest of the season. Hell, maybe that'll just pay for a nice little steak dinner for you as well. All you got to do is pick better or worse than, especially in NASCAR, the finishing position that they give you. And any other sport, it's higher or lower than the projected number. Plus, Underdog's got those spicy plays where you can win up to 100 times your money. Oh, it's so much fun. And it's so easy. I mean, all you got to do is pick a couple of players here and there, and then you're just multiplying and watching that multiplier go up. And then at the end of the day, you're cashing and having some fun just watching that bankroll go up. So continue to do all of that stuff. So sign up today with the promo code RACESGPN. Let me tell you, that promo code is important. Why? Because we are still in a lockdown drag-out battle with all the rest of the shows, and we need your support to get that bonus. We've also got some incentives for you on the backside of this if you do this. for us because we want to win. We want to show that NASCAR fans are the most interactive out there. So sign up with that promo code RACESGPN. You're going to get a first deposit doubled up to $100 as well as an instant pick'em special. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them on the App Store. And don't forget to register with our promo code RACESGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100 as well as that instant pick'em special. Must be 18 and over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with the play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Here's what I mentioned. SGPN is teaming up with Underdog to give you even more of a bonus. Sign up now. Between now and the end of the month, you only got a couple days left. 5 winners are going to receive an Underdog hat, Underdog shirt, and a $50 SGPN gift card. So sign up today using that promo code SGPN, RACE SGPN. Then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog to enter the contest for your chance to win. Promo code RACE SGPN. Want to see all of those entries and all of that fun at the end of the week. All right, Cody. Well, like you said before, obviously this is the truck race, but Cup drivers are allowed to race 5 races if they're full-time, and some of these other guys will sneak down because they can do more races, but there is a familiar name out there, and he's driving the odds down for just about everybody else, and we'll go over the full
he's
list
driving the odds down for himself, but driving the odds up for some other people, getting some value out there. And that's, we'll get into that, I think, as we lay out these bets, but there is going to be some value on the truck regulars when you get this many Cup guys and this much, star power down in the truck series. So we'll start at the top of the list. Christopher Bell is going to be in the number 1 for Tricon Garage. Obviously that's kind of their rotator truck. We saw Tony Bredinger in there. I don't remember who was in that truck at Atlanta, but it'll be a rotator for the Toyota team throughout the year. William Swallich, I think, has some races planned in that one, but Christopher Bell jumping in there this week. We talked about him yesterday on the Cup Series betting episode, so make sure you go back and check that out. Nice little practice run for him on Friday night here before the race. Kyle Busch back again this week in the Truck Series for the second week in a row. He obviously won at Atlanta last week. He is the guy that is a very heavy favorite, which we'll get into in a bit. He's going to be back in that Spire number 7 truck. Connor Mosak is going to be in the 45. That's a rotator truck for Nice.
Whoa. Who?
Connor Moylesack, is that what we called him last year?
That's what it was.
Yeah, because he dumped oil all over the track and cost us a lot of money. Thanks for reminding me about that, Rod. I appreciate it.
That's what
Connor Jones is back in the 66 for Thor Sport. And then Zane Smith in the 91, a Chevrolet. Going to be a little weird to see him driving a Chevrolet in the Truck Series after all those years with Ford. But he is going to be in that 3rd McAnally Hilgeman Racing truck over there is that the 4th? Yeah, that's the 4th McAnally truck because they got the 43 too. Dang. They were a 1-car team a couple of years ago, 1 truck team. Now they got 4 this weekend. So yeah, you got 3 Cup Series guys. Bell and Busch, obviously, the stars of the Cup Series, and then Zane Smith, who's a rookie. So he can actually run unlimited amount of races within the confines of, you can't run in the playoffs and you can't run in some other stuff. So I swear Dos Flacco's just like, he obviously has got, he's inside of our doc, Rod. I think he throws out a bet that's on our betting card every single time we're in here.
So what you don't know is that I share the document with him every single time. So,
apparently it's clear.
My bad. It's
Chris wanting to know what races Marco Andretti is supposed to do in the Spire truck. Curious if Andretti will get more involved in NASCAR after getting the cold shoulder from F1. I think they've already gotten plenty involved. I've got the Gainbridge deal and all that. I think Marco's supposed to be doing 7 races in the 04 truck for Roper in a partnership with Spire. I don't know if he's going to run. You would assume the 7 truck will end up being around when the Cup guys can't be in it and some of the other stuff. So maybe he'll be in some races, but I don't know if anything's been announced specifically on that. So
yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out on that news. And honestly, I mean, you know what, I would want to get excited about it. And then part of me doesn't necessarily want to get excited about it because we know that he's a good driver, but when you hop in every once in a while, you don't have that same sort of, you don't have the familiarity first and foremost. And then you're racing around people you don't race around all the time, so you can't really get a good feel about it. And I don't know. And if you're not a series regular, I mean, I know Marco Andretti's done plenty.
He is. I think he is running. I think he's running 13 ARCA races, so he's getting more into the stock car stuff. But again, he's also like 36 years old, so it's not like he's a young up and coming buck. He's been around, obviously spent a lot of time in the, in IndyCar and all of that as well. So
36 is ancient, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. A couple other guys checking in. Daryl saying, "Hi, boys. What's up, Daryl?" Walter, our guy. Nice picture on your YouTube there, Walter. Like it. Says, "What's up?" Rye Cape in the chat. Truck Talk. Let's go. I'm going to be on Rye's show, the NASCAR Report, tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time. So make sure you check that out. It's going to be fun chatting it up with those guys over there.
Cody committing podultery on this already.
Sharing the love, Rod. Sharing the love.
Sharing the love. No, I love it. I love that we have this community that we have to be able to sit around and talk about this stuff. So gotta love it. Did we give those Flaccos his due?
Yeah, I missed the cheers.
Yeah, what's up?
I went straight to his bed. So.
Can't miss the cheers. Yeah, I know you did. You went straight to it. Daryl, listen, careful on the old man stuff. I'm ancient already, my friend.
Rod's older than him, don't worry. Nick Fortune betting on Jack Wood this weekend. That's going to be a little rough since Jack is not entered in this race, Nick.
Go ahead. You do that. You bet on him.
Go ahead and throw that up on cut. I'll take your action on that one.
Yeah. You definitely went for that one. Gotta love it. All right. So like we said, it is, of course, the Victoria's Voice Foundation 200. It is on the Las Vegas Motor Speedway track in Las Vegas, Nevada. Really just outside, I guess. It's not necessarily in. Is it improper? I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to find out when I get there.
Yeah, Rod will be able to tell you on Sunday.
Which, by the way, folks, I wanted to make a full weekend out of it. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it work. I realized that my daughter has a honor choir concert on Saturday, and for me, it's always family first. So as soon as that concert's over, I'm gonna be loading up my car, and I'm gonna be making the 8-hour drive to Las Vegas to watch this race. So wish me luck as I drive on through the night, through the Tehachapi's and through the Mojave Desert. And maybe you guys can keep me awake while I do so, because that'll be a lot of fun. So anyways, and then Sunday I'll just find a nice casino to sit in while I wait for the race to start, place some bets, and get it going.
Sounds like a rough day. Comment of the year right here from Nick Fortune, who lives in Iowa, is an Iowa fan, says Iowa's dumb. I'm just going to leave that completely out of context because I agree with him. And Steven says his daughter says the 46 is winning. I'm guessing that's the 46 truck because there's not a cup car. So
Thad Moffitt
gonna be about a 30 truck wreck, and Thad Moffitt's gonna find his way through and capture the victory.
But we'll get on that. So again, it is the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's a 1.5 miles. They'll be doing 134 laps on this 1.5 mile paved track for 201 miles on this one. Looking back at last year's Victoria Voice Foundation 200, surprise, Kyle Busch won, but we had 6 cautions for 27 laps. Kyle won by 4.9 seconds, 16 lead changes. The time of the race was a tidy little hour and 41 minutes, average speed 118 miles, 2,094 green flag passes, and 19.6 average per green flag lap. So we're in for a lot of action. We're in for a lot of fun. And this is going to be, like I said, this is going to be entertaining. It's going to be good to be back on familiar soil and not on the seat of our pants. I don't know what it is about having back-to-back super speedways, but my anxiety level was at an all-time high both weeks. I've calmed down a little bit since.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to start the season out for sure. So, but hey, it's in the rearview mirror. Now we got a regular track to bet on. Let's get to the bets, Rob.
Okay. I'd be okay if they stopped doing the back-to-back super speedways. We'll be fine with that. So, all right, let's get into those bets. Well, let's tell you about Hall of Fame bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bet's revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets. All right, Cody, I think it's time to start getting everybody's betting cards loaded up. Although there are a lot of people that are already volunteering to help me. Rod, don't forget about me. Be there in October. Let me know what seats are best. Oh, Walter, I will not forget about you. And in fact, I'm going to try very hard to make a better weekend out of the October race. And then maybe you and I can hang out and we can exchange stories. Nick Fortune telling that I've got his phone number. We could talk about Niners while we're on the road. I mean, we could. It'll be a lengthy conversation and maybe a lot of tears. Maybe I don't want to have that conversation on an 8-hour drive, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but oh boy,
it's a lot of tears. All right, Cody, let's start those betting cards out. Where are we going first?
Let's start the betting cards out. Let's see. I got my. Why is my stuff all? Do we eliminate a box in here somehow, Rod?
I
The
don't.
document
know.
is all looking weird, so I don't really know.
Does look kind of weird.
Actually, I don't think I touched it, but maybe I did.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways, we got to make picks for the fantasy game too. I almost forgot about that. So logging in right now to check that out.
In the meantime, let's check with Brian. Brian, we're going to get there for sure. He wants to know why Zane Smith is favored over Ty Majeski when he's not in the 38.
Yeah, buddy.
We got that.
Yeah, don't worry. We will be checking in on that. So, let's see. NASCAR betting preview show did catch up to us a little bit last week in Atlanta. We didn't do too bad though. We're currently holding the lead, 637 points. They are sitting at 573. Rod.
Did we lose the week?
Yes.
Oh.
So they had 334. We had 291. So not too bad.
Not too bad.
We weren't too far behind them, but they did get us for the week. So let's go to Las Vegas here. All right, we need one. Oh boy. Okay, 1A starter, and here is our options. We've got Ben Rhodes, Chase, Christian Eckes, Corey Heim, Jake Garcia, Kyle Busch, Matt Craft, and Nick Sanchez, Ty Majeski. I'm just going to go ahead and put in Kyle Busch because it's Kyle Busch. Obviously, you have to start him this week. We did play Don't Start Him last week. That didn't pay off for us necessarily, but that's okay. He's a must plug in this case. So
I agree.
Let's see. For our B drivers, we need 2 starters out of these guys. So we've got Brett Holmes, Daniel Dye, Dean Thompson, Grant Enfinger, Lawless Allen, Lane Riggs, Matt Mills, Stuart Friesen, both Grays, Timmy Hill, Ty Dillon, and Tyler Ankrum. This is a rough group.
I think I like Ankrum better in that one.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
I'm good with that. We'll have a point on him in a little bit.
Perfect.
Do we want to put Grant Enfinger, or do we want to wait and see what Grant Enfinger has?
No, I think Grant Enfinger's a good one because obviously we're going to talk about him too as well.
Okay. So we will put Grant Enfinger in here. And then we need 1 C starter from basically the rest of the field, Rod. So I'll throw some highlights of guys on here. You've got Raja Caruth.
Yep, that's it. You can stop there.
All right, beautiful. I figured that might just be good enough to throw in there. So
that was the only one. So what's our lineup?
So our lineup will be Kyle Busch, Tyler Ankrum, Grant Enfinger, Raja Caruth.
Sounds like a good lineup. Perfect.
Yes, sir. All right, should we get into the bets now?
Let's get into the bets.
Let's get into the bets. All right, I am going to start with again, this is so messed up. I'm so confused. Anyways, all right, we're going to start off by fading Mr. Ty Majeski. I'm going to take Christian Eckes over Ty Majeski. This is minus 110 over on Superbook. And I'm also going to take Zane Smith over Ty Majeski. It's minus 135 over on Bet365, but that is a ridiculous line to me. I don't know why Zane Smith and Ty Majeski are even matched up. So we'll start with the Christian Eckes and Ty Majeski head-to-head here. So go back with Christian Eckes. He won the race here in 2021. He was 6th place here last year. So the trucks only come to Vegas once a year, not like the Cup in Xfinity where they come twice. It's just once a year. So he won in 21, 6th place last year, which was his first year in the 19 truck for McAnally. Eckes won Phoenix to end the season. So that was the last non-super speedway truck we had. You go back to other mile and a halves we had at the end of last season. He won Kansas Speedway at the last mile and a half we were at last season. He had an absolute rocket at Kansas Speedway race number 1. I was there for that. That truck was so freaking fast. Did get caught up in a wreck, but he also had a 6th place finish at Charlotte. You go over to Ty Majeski. You take a look at him. He was 5th place here last year, so he did end up edging out Eckes. But after the Bristol race last season, or not Bristol, but after the race where he was busted with the tire pressure deal, he has 1 top 5 in those last 9 races, average finish of 11.33. In those 9 races, Christian Eckes had 5 top 3 finishes to end the season. So at the end of the year last year, once Majeski's air pressure got fixed, they just didn't show up. He didn't do well. Eckes ended the season on a great run. Again, mentioned this yesterday. We mentioned this on the recap show as well, but I want to reiterate it again. What happened the last 2 weeks does not matter, Rod. Not looking into that in any way, shape, or form, because it makes no difference to anything based on the super speedwayness of both of those races and how it just does not translate. So I'm not even looking at those. That's why I'm looking back to last season. What did they do for me? Both these trucks drivers are back with the same truck teams. Arguably, Eckes' team is going to be even stronger this year at McAnally. They continue to kind of figure things out. We just talked about they've got 4 cars in this race now, 4 trucks in this race. And again, I'm really, really high on Christian Eckes this year. So taking him over Ty Majeski. And then for Zane Smith over Ty Majeski as well, it's the same points on Majeski, right? Things just kind of fizzled out for them at the end of last season. And Zane Smith is Zane Smith, Rod. And he didn't have the greatest year last year, right? Not to the level we expected. Still finished 2nd place in the spring race last season, 3rd place at Kansas. And he's in a McAnally truck. He's not just in some random truck out there starting. It's going to be the same equipment that Christian Eckes is in. That's going to be very, very strong equipment. So love Christian Eckes over Ty Majeski, -110 over on Superbook. And Zane Smith over Ty Majeski, -135 on Bet365.
It's not like Zane Smith forgot how to drive like that. I feel like the books are like, oh, no, he's in a different truck. It's going to make a whole bit of difference.
Yeah, I mean, so like you go into last season, right, and he was the prohibitive favorite, betting favorite for the Truck Series. And again, a little bit of a disappointing season. He had a couple of wins and he didn't make the Final Four, but he still had a very strong season. He was still in one of the better trucks over the last few years, and he's going to be in strong equipment this week too. So I don't think he's going to really miss a beat. And, just because he's a Cup Series guy now, he's still going to be a solid truck driver. And he's not very far removed from racing in the Truck Series, so he's still going to have all the feels for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like he's been out for 6 years and hasn't done a truck race in a long time. I'm pretty confident Zane Smith can still get things done. So definitely give me Zane Smith. All right, well, I'm going to take a driver that is in the same old equipment and put him against a driver in new equipment. And I'm going to take Ben Rhodes over Grant Enfinger. This is at -115. I know we talked about Grant Enfinger, definitely being a good enough driver, and he is, but something about Ben Rhodes to me just kind of sticks out. And it's not because he's had fantastical finishes on this track every single time he's gotten on it, but in 2 out of the last 3, he's finished 2nd and he's finished 3rd. He finished 2nd in the second. Well, they did come here twice in 2021. So he finished 2nd in that race. He started on the pole in the spring and finished 10th. But the last time they ran this last year, he finished in 3rd place. The 2022 season was not very good for him. He did start 4th, led 9 laps, and ended up crashing in that race. But again, we know that Ben Rhodes can get around tracks. We know that he can get it done well. Just looking back last year, he had a 10th place finish at Texas, 16th at Kansas. Again, they're not like all fantastic finishes, but toward the end of the season, 7th at Bristol, 2nd at Talladega, 2nd at Homestead, 5th at Phoenix. He turned it on toward the end of that season, right? So 5th place at Phoenix. Grant Enfinger at Las Vegas. Granted, he's had some pretty good runs, but the last few have been in completely different equipment, obviously, right? So the last year he was with the 23 team, finished 23rd, and he finished 9th in those cars. Now he's in the 9 car. Or the 9 truck, rather, which he was actually, it's ironic, he was in the 9 truck in 2021 when he finished 7th in both of those. But of course, this was not the same 9 truck that he's in right now. So definitely, like I said, I still haven't seen necessarily what I want to see out of Grant Enfinger. I know super speedways mean nothing, but attitude wise, that's what really gets me going is attitude. I don't see the right attitude that I saw him out of last year. Last year in Vegas, he finished 9th, but then he turned around and finished 17th at Texas. He did win Kansas, which was, great, fantastic, and fun. But his average finish was 9th place. And toward the back end of the season, it was 3rd, 13th, 4th, and 6th. So pretty good for him, but not the best, I think, in my opinion. So I still think Ben Rhodes is a better get here over Grant Enfinger. So I'll take him at -115 to win this matchup.
Yeah, I don't hate this, especially because Enfinger, we don't know about that equipment, Rod. We have no idea what we're going to get there. Rhodes can be a bit of a wild card at times. He's got a little bit of Joey Logano in him, right? But I still think he's a solid driver, and I'm going to take the more assured. Rhodes is in a good, solid truck. We know Enfinger's a good driver, but a lot of questions about that equipment. So
it's the devil we know versus the devil we
yeah.
don't know. That's really what it all boils down to for me.
Exactly. Let's see. Wanted to catch up on the chat too. Dos Flacco starting off early with the Majeski hate. Sorry, Dos Flacco's. He says they're using a University of Oklahoma engineering student as their garage lead. Interesting. He's got faith in his over the season total wins. I have faith in the under. So there we go. Brian asking if somebody did you take a shot at C Bell?
I wasn't. I didn't take
a shot at C Bell either. So I don't know where that came from. But anyways, okay, Rod. I figured out what happened with the document. I was extremely confused. I had separated those two bets into two different categories, but for some reason they didn't get. Because this next bet we're both on. Because Rod beat me to the document. He put it in here. I, again, like in the F1 show, I did not look at the Rod's picks. I just entered my picks. We had the same pick here. So since you beat me to the doc, Rod, I'll give you the floor on this one, and then I'm just going to back you up and completely agree with you.
Hell yeah.
Just to catch up on Derek saying Zeeb is sleeping on Die. Not sleeping on Die, actually. Going against him, I think, is more the correct phase. And Rod we'll talk about that.
So I will talk about that in that, look, it's not that we're going against Die. We just think that both of us think that Jake Garcia is going to have a better day. And listen, that was a great story, right? Daniel Dye putting it on the pole, like just coming out of nowhere seemingly and making it to where
where did Daniel Dye put it on the pole, Rod?
He put it on the pole in Atlanta, by the way.
Atlanta.
So
did that race happen?
It
must have wiped that from my memory because it doesn't matter. Can't remember.
Sleepy thing got there. No, listen, again, it's a great story, right? It's a fantastic story. You have a lot of fun talking about Daniel Dye being the camera guy and all of that great stuff. And, he's got the perfect camera angles every single time. But like Cody said, that was a super speedway. Last year, his average finish was 20.2. Las Vegas last year, he finished 19th. This is his only time around this track altogether. In Texas, he finished 25th. Kansas, he finished 13th. Not to say that he's not a good driver, but again, I mean, Nashville 22nd. It's these tracks that aren't super speedways, not necessarily the greatest finishers for him. And he's in the same equipment, right? And we know on super speedways.
He is in different equipment.
Well,
he was there with GMS last year, and he's the fourth McAnally truck. I know the McAnally trucks are going to be fast, but he's in the fourth McAnally truck this year.
Yeah. And again, it's just not, I don't think it's going to happen. Jake Garcia, on the other hand, his only start on this track was 10th place. And again, I just feel like I have more faith in Jake Garcia to get it done than I do for Daniel, because Daniel Dye is a good driver. Let's not get it wrong. I mean, he's a good, solid middle of the pack driver, but on a week-to-week basis, he's not somebody jockeying for the win. Whereas, Jake Garcia, his average finish last year was 14th. He had 9 top 10s though, and 3 top 5s. So that is the ceiling for Jake Garcia. Whereas I don't know a top 5 finish as a ceiling for Daniel Dye. So give me Jake Garcia over Daniel Dye. Like, he had a 5th place finish in Texas last year. Did Jake Garcia? To me, he can get it done. And then, like I said, Daniel Dye, great story, fun driver to watch. Love the hair, just not necessarily thinking he can get it done on a normal mile and a half.
Daniel Dye's family appreciates your kind comments, Rod, because I don't have any. And Michael Waltrip also appreciates it because it's his favorite driver, because Daniel Dye always right center camera. He's got the camera shot for everything. I don't even know why this is a matchup. This is ridiculous. Jake Garcia, easily the much better guy in this one. Absolutely love. This will probably be the biggest bet I place this weekend, potentially. Jake Garcia over Daniel Dye at -115. I don't understand why this is this way. You go back to last season in this race, 10th place for Jake Garcia, like you said. That was only his 6th career Truck Series start. That was his first start of the season because he had to miss Daytona to start the season off because it was the super speedway. He wasn't old enough. He was freshly 18 years old at the time. Comes in here, finishes 10th place in just his 6th career start. And Daniel Dye, who's been around for a minute, finishes in 19th. So not really that impressive. You go back to last season, they raced against each other 22 races, Rod. Jake Garcia beat Daniel Dye in 16 of 22 races. That's a pretty hefty difference. And again, you know, this will be the second so Jake Garcia actually was with McAnally last year, but he is going over to Thor this year is where he's going to be. We know those Thor Sport trucks are very fast. They're very good. They're strong. They've got what, 5 teams champions over there in that court right now, right? Everyone's so big on Ty Majeski, but I think Jake Garcia might be the more talented guy anyways. And for Dye, he's leaving GMS where it was a solid thing, going to McAnally, which is a faster truck for sure, but he's the 4th truck. It's a part-time truck. How much are we really getting out of that truck? So I don't know about that. But again, 16 to 22 times. And you go to all the comparable tracks, Rod, all the mile and a halves. At the second race at Kansas in the fall, 11th for Garcia, 23rd for Daniel Dye. You go back to Charlotte, 15th for Garcia, 19th for Dye. You go to Kansas one race, 8th for Garcia, 13th for Daniel Dye. You go to Texas, 5th for Garcia, 25th for Daniel Dye. In what world should Daniel Dye even be matched up with Jake Garcia here? It makes absolutely no sense to me. I don't understand all this Daniel Dye love. Did he finish good in the last 2 races? To be honest with you, didn't even look at the results for the last 2 races because it doesn't fucking matter. Stop. We have to stop overreacting to super speedway stuff. I can't say it enough. I know he was on the pole last week. Nobody gives a fuck. It doesn't matter. It means zero to how he's going to race going forward this weekend. I would take this bet and you put, Jake Garcia has to beat him by 10 positions on it, and I would still take this bet because Jake Garcia is going to blow Daniel Dye out of the water. This is the dumbest matchup on the board. Lucky for you, it's there. Go hammer the Jake Garcia side of this. I really don't know what anyone sees in Daniel Dye if we're being completely honest.
His family loves me because I'm the nicer one.
I'm sorry to his family. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'd love to have a beer with him if he's old enough. But he's never done it. What has he ever done that makes you think, wow, that guy's got some potential? I would have to look much harder to find it.
I was going to say that would have to be a stat-filled night full of whiskey and spreadsheets. So one I'm not willing to spend, honestly, on that one. All right, Cody, since you doubled up, I'll go ahead and let you have the next bet.
Yes. Next up for me, Rod, is Christian Eckes, top 5 over on DraftKings, +125. Look, like I said, you're getting these Cup Series guys up here, so you're kind of getting a little bit of a deal on some of these guys that are regular. If these Cup Series guys are not in this field, this is the Corey Heim and Jake Garcia, I almost went to Jake Garcia show.
You're all over Jake Garcia right now.
Christian Eckes show. And man, Eckes, he just won here 2 seasons ago. He finished 6th place last year in the 19 truck that he's in this year. Again, he won Phoenix to end the year. He won Kansas the last mile and a half we had. All signs point to, and we're very high. If you listen to the off-season shows, we're very high on Christian Eckes this season. I think he's going to have multiple wins. I've got more bets on him later as we get into the night here. I think getting plus money on him for a top 5. He doesn't have to get in the top 3. Let's say Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is a favorite. He's -110 on some books to win this race. So if they say that, he's going to do that, okay, fine. He gets first, even if Christopher Bell gets second, even if Zane Smith gets third, Corey Heim, Christian Eckes. I mean, there's not a ton of other, Carson Hocevar's gone this season. There's not a ton of other top-loaded guys up there. So I think Christian Eckes +125 on DraftKings for a top 5 is a hell of a deal. Derek seems to be a big Daniel Dye fan here. He says Daniel Dye is going to get a top 5. Jake's going to What has Daniel Dye ever done that makes you think he's going to get anywhere close to a top 5? I would like to know the answer.
We'll wait. No, just kidding. We won't.
I will be waiting for your response as Rod talks about his next bet.
No, but listen, I just get back to your Eckes thing. Yeah, obviously we have plenty of Eckes love.
Daniel Dye's not even a full-time driver this year, is he?
I
will look into that because I think he's just running part-time because he can't even fill a full season.
Yeah, I think he did last year too. So anyways, all right. So my next bet, I'm going to go back with the old Crafty. I didn't think we were going to be on Thor Sport as hard as we were today, but we ended up on Thor Sport pretty big. And I wish they would give us top 10s for the trucks because I would feel more comfortable with this as a top 10 than a top 5. But we're going to play the hand that we're dealt. And I think, Matt Crafton can actually do this. I think Matt Crafton can get into the top 5. It's something that he's done 11 times in 27 starts over his storied career. 27 starts on this track. That goes all the way back to 2001. What a legacy this guy's leaving. But for Matt Crafton, if you look back, he has been inside of the top 5 in 2 of the last 4 of this, and then 4 of the last 6 races that he's done. And in fact, you can go back a little further to 2018. 2018, he had a 5th place finish. 2019 was a 3rd place finish. 2019 in the fall, he started 5th, but finished 30th. Unfortunately, he had an engine problem that got him out of that. So he started in the top 5, just couldn't hold it there. In 2020, he started 13th and finished 4th in the fall. Well, in the second race of that 2020 season, started 6th, finished 9th. So not that far outside of the top 5. And then 2021 started 4th, finished 5th. 2021 in the fall, started 6th, finished 3rd. And then 2022 was a 7th place and 11th place finish. He just held on to his starting position there. So really just circling around that top 5. And at times he's poked his head into the top 5. And this is still even with Kyle Busch in the field. This is still with Cup drivers in the field as well, that he's still able to kind of find his way into the top 5. So this one, it's at plus 900 for a reason. Like that was the price. That's really kind of what made me sort of go, okay, but right. So I think Matt Crafton could get in the top 5. I see why it's plus 900, but it's still something that I'm worth rolling the dice on because in my opinion, he's still a talented enough driver to kind of poke his head in there, which he's done several times before. And I mean, 11 out of 27 starts that he's finished in the top 5. That's still not a bad situation when you're talking racing. Some people haven't even been there. 40% of the time he's been in the top 5. That's a damn good percentage for a race truck driver to find top 5s. 63% top 10 finishes. His average finish is 11th. He's only got 4 DNFs. So yeah, I'm definitely a little skeptical of this one, but I still think it's a good bet for the price.
Yeah, for the price, I think it is a really good bet. He's probably not just going to run top 5 all day, but he's the type of guy who can get himself to the end. If there's any type of chaos, if there's any type of strategy, he can find his way there. He's a guy that can jump up and kind of grab a win, maybe, potentially. So a top 5, I think, is definitely not out of the question. I did notice as I was doing the research, that is the one bet I looked for. I was looking and I go, wow, Crafton's been pretty good here. And I looked and I go, okay, Rod's got a Crafton bet, so that covers that. I figured Rod's always reliable for the Crafton bets. So, yeah, I think the number is great at 9-1, just to get in the top 5. Again, if he gets a little bit of help, I think that he could easily hit this one. So I do like it. Catching up on the chat real quick. Kevin S. said he's missed the show, but he's putting all his dimes on Larson this week, leaving it at that. Betting is easy, he says. Then realize that this is not the Cup show. The Cup show, if you're looking for it, was done yesterday. So it's on the YouTube feed there, on the podcast feed. Make sure you go back and do that. Walter doing the Lord's work, letting everybody know that. So, yeah, we did it on Wednesday last week, I think, because of the rain. So all jumbled up. But generally, the Cup Series pick show will be out on Tuesdays. So make sure you're always tuning in. Best thing to do, click that bell over on the YouTube, and it'll notify you every time we go live for all of these shows.
Indeed. All right, Cody, where are we going next?
Next up for me, going back over to Zane Smith. Talked about him in the matchup earlier. Rod, plus 140 for a top 5 finish for Zane Smith in the Truck Series. What? Do they just forget? Do they forget that Zane Smith has been a really good truck driver?
They honestly just for like, I don't. Zane Smith, is he on the?
Who's this random guy? I mean, I know Jack Wood was in the truck the last couple of weeks, so maybe they're like, oh, this is just going to be like a shit truck that's hanging out in the back or something. But It's Zane Smith. He's top 5, plus 140 over on Caesars. I really don't understand it. Again, last year, not the greatest year of all time for him by any means, but he finished second place here at this race. So he was good here. And then you go back to Kansas as well, and he had a third place finish there. Again, this is a McAnally truck. And I know I've been kind of shitting on Daniel Dye, whose best career finish at 11th place, by the way, outside of a super speedway. So again, what have you done for me ever? Nothing. But the McAnally trucks are fast. And so that is the one positive I'll give to Daniel Dye. It should be a fast truck. I think Zane Smith is going to be just fine. We know how talented he is. He's a big bad Cup Series driver now, but he can come back down to this series and still show that he knows what he's doing here. A top 5 at plus 140. You never would have got this when Zane Smith was full-time in the Truck Series. I don't know why that's changed now. So, and again, even with Kyle Busch, with Christopher Bell, even if Christian Eckes and Corey Heim get those top 4, or those 4 are in the top 5, you still have a spot open for a Zane Smith. And if one or two of those guys doesn't get in there, Zane Smith should easily be inside the top 5, I think.
Well, again, my love for Zane Smith. I've always had it. Now he's not in the same truck, but I still love him as a driver, especially in the Truck Series. So I can't go against that. And you're right. I mean, that number alone is one of those ones where you have to stop yourself and go, okay, I definitely have to take this because, like you said, if he was a full-time driver this year, you would not get that same price for this bet. So make it while you can and enjoy when it cashes. All right, I'm taking another flyer. Look at. So last week or the last 2 weeks, I was super cautious guy, right? I was like, let's just take super cautious. I'm not going to take too many flyers out there. And then all of a sudden we get to a track where it's a little more reliable. And I'm like, hell, let's go. Let's just pick whatever we want and go with it. But it's not really that way. I'm taking the longer odds because it feels to me like some of these shouldn't be priced the way they are. And maybe we do have super speedway hangover and we got to jump on it. Christopher Bell is listed as a top 3 truck at plus 160. Now, I know this is shorter odds, but when you consider that Kyle Busch is like minus 60 million for a top 3, a top 5, and
he's
to win
he's set minus 700 for a top 5 finish.
For a top 5. Jesus Christ. I looked at the negative and I saw and I was like, I'm not even touching. I knew not to even look at Kyle Busch's top.
In Kyle Busch's defense, Rod, 6 truck races in a row here, he's finished either first or second. So,
well, I was going to get to that in the winter, but you got to give him that. But Christopher Bell, again, plus 3 or top 3 at plus 160. He hasn't done this in a while. He hasn't been in a Las Vegas truck race since 2017. But in that race, he led 64 laps and finished second. In 2016,
it's really been that long that Christopher Bell. I could have swore he was in the 61 truck just like a year or two ago.
No, he was in the 4 truck for both of those for Kyle Busch in 2017 and 2016. 6th place in that as well in 2016. He had a 14th place finish in the 2015 race, but he did start 5th in that one as well. I'll tell you though, when you look at Christopher Bell's Truck Series history, right? 7 wins, 5 of those came in that 2017 season, which he was absolutely dominating. 15 top 5s, 21 top 10, 5 poles, led 875 laps. And as we know, in the Truck Series, there's not a lot of laps to lead on these tracks because most of the races are only 100 and some odd laps. So when you're leading 875, like his average start was 4.9, average finish was 5.7. That was fantastic stuff, right? I mean, and of course he was in KBM equipment, which we know was the best for the longest time, but now he's driving in that one truck. And I think he's got something for the field, right? I don't know that he's going to beat Kyle Busch, but I think he's definitely going to put something on him. He's got a couple of weeks worth of frustration to work out, and there's no better way to do it than to come down to the Truck Series and get crazy with these guys and just hash it out. So I think he can find his way into the top 3, and I think plus money for that is a very good, especially since he's the second favorite to win the race, right? You might as well take the plus money for a top 3.
Yeah, and he was in the 61 at North Wilkesboro last year for Hattori, so he's been in a truck at least recently, and got a top 3 there. So speaking of that race, Rod, Corey Heim won that race, beating both Christopher Bell and William Byron, so it can be done. And speaking of Corey Heim, I did that on purpose. It's Heim time. Going to take the Corey Heim truck lift. Look, when these Cup guys are not in this field, you're not going to get numbers like this on Corey Heim. So take advantage while you've got the chance. We're going to start the truck lift off with a matchup. We haven't done this before on the lifts, but dude, we cannot overreact to super speedways, Rod. I don't know how many times I have to say this. Corey Heim is matched up with Nick Sanchez? What? Are you kidding me? What? Okay, I said earlier that other matchup was my favorite. I lied. This is my favorite matchup. Corey Heim and Nick Sanchez I understand Sanchez has got to win, Rod. I get it. It does not matter for the rest of the season what you do at Daytona. It does not translate. And I know Nick Sanchez had that one good race at Texas last year where he led a lot of laps and then blew it at the end, so that doesn't really help his case a ton either. But Corey Heim matched up with Nick Sanchez over on Bet365, minus 135. Again, I do not care about that price. This is just super, super easy to me. Corey Heim ran 22 truck races last year. He did miss one because he was sick. 3 times he finished worse than 8th place in 22 races, Rod. That includes road courses. That includes super speedways. That includes everything. So he finished in the top 8 in 19 of 22 races. These two drivers were matched up in all 22 of those races. Rod, how many times do you think that Nick Sanchez beat Corey Heim in 2023 head-to-head? I'm including super speedways, including road courses, leaving it all in there.
Can I just say 0?
3. He did get him 3 times.
Okay.
But of those 3 times, one was Phoenix at the end of the season when Corey Heim should have won the race till Carson Hocevar was a jackass and dumped him. One of them was at Atlanta, which was a super speedway. So, again, take that for what you will. And one of them was Nashville, where they finished 3rd and 4th place. So, why are these guys? This is nothing but a reaction to the last 2 weeks. And if you want to look at the last 2 weeks, Rod, which we can do, Corey Heim finished 2nd at Daytona and 3rd at Atlanta. So it's not like he did bad at either of those races either. But that doesn't matter because the last couple of weeks does not matter. I do not understand why that is that way. That matchup just baffles me. But Corey Heim, the best driver in the Truck Series, in the best equipment in the Truck Series. It's not even a question to me. Now, obviously, you've got Kyle Busch this week. You got Christopher Bell. You got Zane Smith as well in this field. But they're giving you plus money for a top 5. Again, even if the 3 Cup Series guys finished in the top 5, Corey Heim is going to find his way. And Corey Heim has proven time and time again that he can beat these Cup Series guys. He beat Kyle Busch at Martinsville last season, and he beat William Byron and Christopher Bell at North Wilkesboro last season. So top 5 plus money at plus 110, top 3 plus 210. Love it. Going to ride all the way up to win the race 7-1 over at Caesars. Corey Heim, look, Kyle Busch, I know he has won, 4 of the last 6 that he's raced here at Las Vegas, and he's got second the other 2 times, but he's got second twice, Rod, so it means he doesn't always win. And he's just such a favorite. I'm not going to play him. But Corey Heim has been strong. We've seen that the guys from this team specifically, what used to be the KBM team, it's the Tricon team now, could beat Kyle Busch in the same equipment. These Tricon trucks are fast. Corey Heim is fast. He's good. He's consistent. Again, finished outside the top 8 3 times all of last season. That is insane numbers. So give me Corey Heim to beat Nick Sanchez, to finish top 5, to finish top 3, and to win the race.
I mean, again, Corey Heim was one of those people that I was coming on researching, and then I had to stop myself because I'm like, don't even research it. I know.
Like Rod's Chastain yesterday. Rod's like, well, yeah. Cody took all the bets.
I was like,
hey, you beat me to the dock, all right? But you knew I would have all the Corey Heim love in there.
I knew better than to step on the Corey Heim because I knew that truck lift was going to fall on me if I did.
I appreciate that, Rod.
I was like, no, thank you. But yeah, I mean, absolutely 100% on everything you said. It's just Corey Heim is going to be a truck to be dealt with this weekend, and it'd be foolish to leave him off of your card in any way. Why not load it up?
Yeah, to Kevin S. actually with 2 good points here. First 2 weeks of the preseason or felt like preseason compared to now, which really it is. And again, the one thing you can remember is Nick Sanchez does have a win. So if he wants to gamble, if he gets a chance like that, he definitely can take it. But and then he said Sanchez looked good at the second half of the season, but I think the books are jumping on the gun on his potential. He did, and I think Sanchez is going to be a fine driver. He's in that Rev Racing truck. It's got the Spire Alliance. It should be a good truck. I think that Sanchez can have a solid day. But I think when you set him next to Corey Heim, you're just in 2 different ballparks almost. So I don't think Sanchez is to that level yet. So that's a hammer on the Heim side.
Indeed. I think this is my first group bet of the season. If not, then it's like one of the first group bets of the season for me. So we're going to take the cover guy of this episode that we've got going on. I put Rajah Caruth up there for a reason, because I think we're going to see some great stuff out of him over the course of the season. We just talked about his deal now with HendrickMotorsports.com and the fact that there's going to be a nice chunk of money in that garage week after week from it. And I think Spire is going to very much be a player in this as well. So Caruth is actually in Group A in Caesars, along with Chase Purdy, Ty Dillon, Taylor Gray, Bailey Curry, and Stuart Friesen. I'm going to go ahead and take Caruth to win this group at plus 400. I like the price. That's really why I'm going with this. I like the price. I think he's going to be a little better than his teammate, Chase Purdy, who, I mean, again, I know Chase Purdy has good results on this track in KBM equipment. The 8th place that he got in last season's race was good. He started 3rd, finished 8th. But I mean, in the Hattori and Gallagher equipment, it's been okay. 14th, 13th, 23rd, 27th. So it's not really the greatest. But again, to me, from what I've seen on Caruth, and now I know we're taking super speedway stuff and we're throwing it out, but we have seen the right attitude with him. We've seen the right mentorship with him. And I think we've seen the fact that he's going to be a nice, solid truck driver this year. I feel like we're going to see good things out of him. His average finishing position last year, 18.2. He only had 4 top 10s in that Gallagher equipment in that 24 car. So, or 24 truck rather. So it's not necessarily that we can go on that alone. In Vegas, his only start in Vegas finished 29th after starting 24th. But I don't think that's indicative of what we're going to see out of him this season. Again, I know we can't take anything away from super speedway racing, but we can take away attitude and we can take away driving style. We've seen a completely different Rajah Caruth, in my opinion, because last season we saw him involved in several actual scuffles, right? He was trying to put himself where he didn't necessarily fit or could be, and it got him into trouble. So I'm thinking maybe we're seeing a little bit different side of him. And even when you look back at that 2023 race, right? Caruth finished inside of the top 10 in both stages. Unfortunately, he just couldn't finish the race well enough, right? He was inside the top 10 and ended up finishing as the last car running. About 5 or 6 laps down, if not more. But yeah, I mean, look, he was inside the top 10. He was doing well in that one. When you look at the rest of these guys in this group, Taylor Gray hasn't made a start on this track. He was too young last year, right? The dude, I think, still was trying to put the corsage on his prom's date before this race was going on. So can't really count him in. I know that there was some Friesen love out there, and God bless America. You know me. I love me. I'm sorry. God save the Queen. I love me.
No, they say in Canada? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, they are under the crown. So
true. Although it's the king these days. The Queen.
Oh, that's true. God save the king. See, look at old guys and memories suck.
I know she was around for 402 years, but she died finally.
She was. Oh, look, and for Friesen, right? 7 top 10 finishes in 12 starts, 5 top 5s. Last season, he finished 14th. I almost feel like that's indicative of what we're going to see out of him now. Like he's one of those guys where you root for him so hard and then something happens. Like he gets caught up, and it's not even his fault half the time. Just runs into a truck, right? So it's like, whatever. I'm just going to think that that's going to happen to Stuart Friesen. And then, like I said, for Purdy, they're in the same equipment, but I still think Rajah Caruth can beat his teammate and probably should beat his teammate in this. Especially, again, with all that boost and the vote of confidence. I'm telling you right now, guys, that goes a long way into how you drive. A little more confidence behind yourself, a little more actual assurance that you're going to be in this ride and that it's meant for you versus trying to play for a ride. And then Ty Dillon. That's my
Wow, Rod coming in from left field with the Ty Dillon hate. Kevin asking if we think that Hendrick committing to Caruth for the full season matters much. We talked about that at the beginning of the show. So when it's over, go back and listen. But we do think that it is huge. It's a huge vote of confidence. I think Rod must have been reading. We don't even keep my notes digitally. They're on the paper here. Rod must have been reading them because I wrote down the one thing you can take from the last 2 weeks. Again, You can't take the performance of the last 2 weeks in any way, shape, or form. The one thing you can take is the maturity we've seen from him in the last 2 weeks, getting to the end of the races and having his, I think he's really heading in a good direction. He's got this vote of confidence from Rick Hendrick, from Hendrick Cars being on the car or on the truck for all 23 races now. So I think that is big. Rod, I'm adding an official play, Roger Carruth plus 750. This is a bonus bet for you. You talked me into it. And then I'm going to jump into my winners, and I'm going to go to my long shot because my long shot winner, Rod, is Roger Carruth at 80-1 over on DraftKings. Do I think Roger Carruth is going to win this race? Probably not, Rod. It's a pretty loaded field as far as you've got 3 Cup Series guys. You got Heim, you got Eckes, a lot of guys that are in better equipment. But if supposedly Nick Sanchez, who's not even in a Spire truck, should be matched up head-to-head with Corey Heim, why shouldn't the Spire truck, which is also his teammate, Kyle Busch, is the favorite at minus 110, and he's 80-1. I think that based on the equipment he's in, based on the talent we've seen, it's a little bit overpriced, and it shouldn't be that far. Does he win this race again? Likely not. You're probably going to need some help, but I don't think it's out of the question. I think Roger Carruth can do it. I think at 80-1, he is worth looking at. Plus 750 for the top 5. That one's definitely something I'm adding to my card because I think that's highly possible. Again, you look at all the confidence that's going to be instilled in him from now having Hendrick on the car for 23 races. And you go back and you look, at some comparable tracks last season. He was 8th place at Homestead. That's not bad. He was 12th at Kansas. He did have a 6th place finish at Darlington where we really saw it. A lot of races last year where he was hanging in the top 5, a good chunk of the night, and then something would happen. He would make the mistake, couldn't quite get to the finish. So that is still kind of out there. Can he get past that? But like we both mentioned, the maturity, the growth we think we've seen from him to start this season, the confidence that's there, I think is worth it. So give me Roger Carruth at 80-1 to win the race. Also the top 5 in there at plus 750. And then, of course, I gave out Corey Heim as part of the truck lift to win. My other winner, Rod, Christian Eckes, 12-1. Again, this truck season, it's Christian Eckes and it's Corey Heim for me. These are the 2 regulars. They're going to be in the fastest trucks. They're going to be the 2 best drivers out there. We saw Christian Eckes just have some absolutely fast rocket ships last year. That Kansas race, again, I mentioned it earlier. That truck was so fast, blistering full speed. It was extremely fast in the race, got involved in the wreck, and was not able to finish it. But he's had some really good runs. He's been strong. He won at Kansas, again, the most recent mile and a half we went to at the end of last season. He won to end the season on the last quote-unquote normal track at Phoenix. So if you're throwing out the 2 super speedways, he's won the last, regular type of track that we've been to. I think he's going to continue to carry that momentum forward. I think we're going to see a strong running by Eckes. I talked about him in a head-to-head earlier, talked about him in the top 5. I think he can also win this race at 12-1. Again, the Kyle Busch thing is out there. I can't tell you not to take it this week. It's not like a super speedway. If you want to bet him at that low of a number, you absolutely can, and I can't fault you for it. He's 4 out of the last 6 he's won. He's finished second in the other 2. So in general, he stays there. But we've seen enough times lately, especially in the Truck Series, Kyle Busch comes down and he doesn't win. I know he got the win at Atlanta last week. That race was just super weird. But it's not a foregone conclusion that Kyle Busch just comes in and wins. I would keep in mind that he is a heavy favorite and for a good reason. But I think these other guys are worth betting as far as, Carruth at 80-1, Eckes at 12-1, and even Heim at 7-1. Heim and Eckes, if these Cup guys not in the field, Rod, plus 250, plus 300 to win this race, very low numbers. So I think they're worth getting on while you're getting the discount of having these Cup Series guys in the field.
Well, and by now, those of you who have listened to this show know how to treat outrights and how to actually bet on outrights and know that, you're not throwing full units on all of these outrights because that's just kind of crazy. And look, for Kyle Busch, maybe you do throw a unit and then break up a unit and put down on a couple more. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I was going with mine too, as well. As like, look, and in fact, in the box, I put, if not Kyle, ... because honestly, you can't kind of go through this and say Kyle Busch is going to lose. He's going to be stomped. He's not going to come down and win 2 in a row, because he probably could. And he probably will. I mean, none of us are sitting here telling you there's not a reality in which Kyle Busch is not going to go out there, lead every single lap, and just mop the floor with all these guys, right? Because that's just what Kyle Busch does more often than he doesn't. Cody already laid it out. Was it 4 of the last 6? And then the other ones were second place finishes. So Kyle Busch does well on this track. It's his home track. We talked about that in the Cup Series, right? It is his. He's going to be eating home food, sleeping in his own bed, and being able to be close enough to the family to make it worthwhile. So he loves this track, and obviously it loves him. So, but if not Kyle, I'm going to turn to that 18 truck in Tyler Ankrum. I know I talked about him I think a lot in the last couple of weeks, maybe just a little in the Daytona episode, and I think
Was
I went
there races the last couple of weeks, Rod? I can't
No,
remember.
there were not. However, look, I'm pretty impressed with how he actually handles himself right now. And again, the performance is not what I'm basing my whole prediction off of, right? The finishes are not what I'm basing it. This is what we talked about with Sean too, talking about the eye test. Numbers will tell you something, but the eye test tells you something completely different. And for me, it's really the way he handles himself in situations where a less mature driver would make a mistake and take himself out. He did not do that in either one of the races to start that. And in all honesty, he doesn't do that anyways. Tyler Ankrum is not a guy that is out there racing around trying to get himself in trouble. And so two 7th place finish and 11th place finish doesn't matter. Yes. But you talk about Las Vegas. He does not necessarily have the greatest luck here. He's crashed out of 2 races, but he did finish 16th and 15th in the Hattori equipment last year in that 16 truck. So bettering his finishes from those 34th finishes that he suffered in Vegas in the Gallagher equipment. But he does have a 2 11th and a 10th place finish to go along with that. Top 10 for Tyler Ankrum, but I think we've seen a step up. Obviously, the equipment is going to be better than that McAnally 18. And if you're a numbers person, Chandler Smith put the 18 in the winner's circle here a couple of years ago. I know it was Kyle Busch 18. It wasn't necessarily the same. But the 18 did win this race and actually started in second place in the 2021 race. So the 18 truck has seen success here in the past. Not the same equipment, but I'm a numbers guy, and I think maybe Tyler Ankrum can put that 18 back. And it's Kyle Busch's old number too in the Cup Series. So just saying. But Tyler Ankrum, if you're wondering, 20-1, I think that's a pretty decent shot out there.
I like it.
So, all right. And then Dan's in here saying, is it too soon to say Chandler Smith?
Tune in tomorrow for the Chandler Smith love. Don't worry, it's coming, buddy.
We got that one too. Dos Flacco's asking, got to slap these Cup drivers in the mouth when they come down. Let them get their laps in, but come 5 to go, get them out of the way. Yeah, I wish that would have happened last
Hopefully
week.
we learned our lesson last week, Corey Heim and fellas that were up there. Jesus, come on.
So ridiculous. All right. Well, that is the betting card for us. Get out your pen and paper. For those of you on YouTube, it is now time to show you the graphic for this. And we will go over our bets for the Victoria's Voice Foundation 200 from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Cody started you out with Christian Eckes over Ty Majeski at -110. I gave you Ben Rhodes over Grant Enfinger at -115. Cody also doubled down with Zane Smith over Ty Majeski at -135. I gave you Jake Garcia over Daniel Dye, much to everybody's chagrin. I'm a little surprised over that one at -115. Cody gave you Christian Eckes as a top 5 truck at +125. I said Matt Crafton would be a top 5 truck at 9-1. And then Cody gave you Zane Smith as a top 5 truck at +140. And then, because I talked him into it, threw in Rajah Caruth as a top 5 truck at +750. I gave you Christopher Bell as a top 3 truck at +160. And then Cody started the Heim lift, the truck lift with Heim. Got Heim over Sanchez at -135. Got him as a top 5 truck at +110, a top 3 truck at +210, and then to win the race at 7-1. I said Rajah Caruth was going to win Group A at 4-1 over Purdy, Dillon, Taylor Gray, Curry, and Friesen. And then Cody gave you Christian Eckes at 12-1 to win this race, and Rajah Caruth as a long shot at 80-1. And I said if Kyle Busch does not come down completely and wipe this whole field clean, I'll take Tyler Ankrum at 20-1. There are your picks for this race.
Yeah, Lynn checking in. Eckes top 5 at plus money. Looks like a gift. It is. And Merry Christmas. You're welcome.
Exactly. All right. Well, that'll do it for the truck episode as we end our cards.
Oh, that was you know what? I just want to say, nice long truck episode. That books really just blessed us this week. Like at points last year, we didn't have a lot of good truck options, but this week, loaded. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. Oh, I love it. I'm so excited. Truck racing Friday night this week too. We get trucks on Friday night. F1. Check out the F1 Gambling Podcast, hosted by yours truly and your other truly and Rod. On Saturday morning, the Xfinity Saturday, Cup Series on Sunday. Going to be a great race week. Going to be a great weekend of racing, Rod.
It will indeed. And then think of me on the way out there at the wee hours of the morning, and just send some awake prayers for me out there. But all right, well then we'll come back tomorrow with Xfinity, and then of course we'll close out the week on Friday with DFS and Underdog as we always do. So Cody, as we send everybody on their way to fill out their betting cards, remind everyone where they can find you on your on social media.
Yeah, follow me on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can go back to yesterday's show in the YouTube or the podcast feed, get all the Cup Series picks. Back tomorrow with the Xfinity Series picks. I mentioned the F1 Gambling Podcast. Look, if you haven't checked it out yet, I got a message from somebody today, said they never really watched F1. Shout out to our buddy Chris. It was him. I'll throw you out there, Chris. Said he hadn't really paid attention to it before, but listen to the show. Look, it's the same show, to be honest with you guys. We do the same thing here as we do here. We just talk about F1. It's a lot of fun. I know some people are a little, not sure on F1, but it's a lot of fun to bet on. We come at it from the American NASCAR side of things. So check out that as well. It's on the YouTube feed here, in all your podcast feeds. It's got its own feed as well. So also, Huge Mistake Gaming checking in, saying great show, guys. Thank you. We appreciate it. And yeah, again, click the bell over on the YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe, click the little bell. It'll alert you every time we go live for these, so you're not missing any of the shows. We got you covered with 5 shows a week, so we're here all the time.
We are here all the time, whether you like it or not, and you actually like it. So thank God, thank God you guys do, because sometimes it's easier to justify to my wife why I spend so much time in my office when I show her that you guys actually do listen and pay attention. So thank you for validating my existence. And if you want to continue to do so, follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, of course, like Cody said, the F1 Gambling Podcast Sportsbook Review. I've got my F1 and Cup picks coming out for them. And then, of course, check out the Back Road with Seth and Elliott, holding it down for you this week. And then I'll be back again for the next race after that. So, all right, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow for Xfinity. Cody's right. Nice long truck episode tonight. So we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, let's go racing and let it ride.
Until missing attention doesn't make you unseen. Throw my pride on the